If you know me, then you know that I love K-pop. BTS.
Excuse me.
Check. Twice. Check. Stray Kids.
You know what else is big?
Check. And the list goes on. And because I love K-pop so much and I run a graphic design channel, I thought today we could rank K-pop group logos. I'll be ranking each logo based on 3 factors: readability, versatility, and creativity. And this is purely about the logos and not the group's ability, so please do not come at me if your faves are at the bottom of the list. And with that, let's move on to the tier list. Okay, so here we are at the tier list. I've got 5 tiers in this list. There's Paved the Way, Wins Awards, Mid, Flop, and Nugu. And first up to rank, we've got BTS.
I love hamburger in Sprite.
Now, the BTS logo is very simple, but I don't think that's a bad thing at all. You can look at it and instantly recognize that it's the BTS logo, like everyone knows at this point. As for versatility, I believe this is the only version of the logo that they have, so that might make it really difficult to read at smaller sizes. However, BTS does get points for creativity because the doors in the logo can actually be flipped around to create the logo for the fandom army. And so for that reason, I think I'm going to put it into the Wins Awards category. Okay, so next is the Stray Kids logo.
Pick up.
And first off, the positives. This logo represents Stray Kids really well. Stray Kids are known for making music that pushes boundaries, and it's often labelled as noise music. Essentially, they make the music that they want, and they don't care what other people think about it. And I think the graffiti style for this logo really reflects that. So definitely points for creativity. The logo is also very versatile because it has the shorter SKZ version, which makes it more adaptable for smaller spaces. And they also often change the colour of the logo to match with the aesthetic of the album designs, which makes it quite adaptable in my opinion. However, where I think the Stray Kids logo falters is in the readability department. While its graffiti style does lend itself well to creativity, it definitely does take away from the readability of the logo, especially with the thinner line work. And I think for that reason, I'm going to put it in the same tier as BTS. Okay, so next up we've got Blackpink.
I'm Jisoo, I'm okay.
Absolutely no issues with readability here. The blocky sans serif makes it extremely easy to read, even though they use the stylized backwards C and backwards N. I don't really think those style choices take away from the readability. You can still clearly see that it reads Blackpink. Much like BTS, however, I believe this is the only version of the logo that they have, which can make it difficult to scale and fit into different spaces. As for creativity, they do use their signature black and pink colours, obviously, but other than that, they don't really do much else. As far as I can tell, the backwards C and the backwards N don't really reflect the group or their music in like a significant way. And so because of that, I'm going to put it here in the mid tier. I'm sorry, Blackpink fans. Next up, we've got the Twice logo. So Twice's logo, from what I can see here, is comprised of the first letters of the group's name, those being T and W, and it's in this really thick, blocky script font that makes it really easy to read. I also know that there's 2 variations of this logo. There's one with just the logo mark, and then there's also the combination mark that we've got here. But unfortunately, it doesn't have a variation for horizontal spaces. It only really has stacked variations. Twice do change the colour of the logo based on the album aesthetic, so that does give them points for creativity. However, I don't really think that the T and the W were a creative choice for a solid foundation. There's definitely some lost potential here with the design of this logo, and I think where am I going to put it? Mid or flop? Mid or flop? No, it's got some stuff going for it, so I'll put it in mid. And next up, we have the TXT logo.
아니 왜 골로 가? 왜?
Oh my god, this logo. This logo right here is a masterclass in K-pop logo design. Whenever TXT release a new album, their logo completely changes, but it still uses the letters TXT as a foundation. I've been a fan of TXT since day one, and I've seen this logo evolve through so many different iterations, it's unreal. This logo's been stylized as stars, atoms, clock hands, blocks of ice, crystals, etc. I would love to work on a variation of the TXT logo because there's just so many possibilities that you can do with the letters TXT. I bet you that whenever the group's designers work on a new album, their favourite part will be designing the logo. There is one downside, however, and that's that some of the variations from some of the albums can be quite difficult to interpret, but the creativity and the versatility is like unmatched. And for that reason, I'm going to put it into the Pave the Way tier. So the next logo we have here is in Hypen's logo.
Let me see what you have. It's a knife. No!
So Enhypen's logo here uses a bold square typeface, and it uses a hyphen as the middle part of the E, which ties into the group's message of using a hyphen as a connector between them and their fans, which is quite creative, but I feel like that concept could have been taken a bit further with the logo design. But again, the blocky text makes it easily readable, and I don't think the stylization of the E detracts from that at all. They actually do have another variation of their logo, which encompasses the first two letters of the word mark plus a hyphen. So it essentially reads the group name Enhypen. And for those reasons, I think, which tier should I put it in? Enhypen's logo is definitely not as good as TXT's logo, so I think I'm going to put it in Win Awards. So now we've got IVE's logo here. So as far as I can tell, IVE's logo is kind of just the group name, but it's stacked into a cute formation. I think maybe they were trying to go for a heart or something, but I don't really see it. I think there's just a lot of missed potential here with IVE's logo. I can kind of see where the designers were going with this logo, but I feel like it just needed a little bit more time spent on it. As it stands though, this logo doesn't really tell me much about the group. I think this logo also falls short on readability, especially with the V part, because to me it just looks a little bit too much like the letter Y. IVE does have some variations on their logo which I believe are tied to specific albums. I particularly enjoyed this version where the letter V makes a heart shape, but which tier do I put it in? Do I put it in mid or flop? This is going to be our first flop. I think it needed more time behind the design in order to reach its full creative potential, and it's also just a little bit difficult to read. Okay, so next up we are going to do the LE SSERAFIM logo. I'm just going to come out and say it, this logo is straight up trash. I love LE SSERAFIM, but their logo really needs a redesign. The concept behind the logo is meant to show that LE SSERAFIM is an anagram of I'm Fearless, but all you really see is the crisscrossing of some lines that creates a weird arse shape. So I don't think it's really readable. They only have one version of their logo as well, so it's not really that versatile. And while the idea behind it does have some merit, the execution leaves a lot to be desired. And so obviously it's staying in the bottom tier where it belongs. So on to the next one, we've got aespa.
앞으로의 에스파.
Now I don't really follow aespa that much, but I know that their concept is like they're AI beings or avatars from a different planet. So I'm thinking very ethereal, very high tech, and I think that's reflected quite well in the logo type. They use a thin script font with some jagged edges, which I think is quite nice. I've seen a few variations of the logo which seem to be attached to different albums, so the logo is versatile in that sense, but I don't think they have another version of the logo that can be used for scalable purposes. As for readability, the group's name is clearly written, but I don't think that'll translate well when it comes to viewing it at smaller sizes. And so for that reason, I think I'm going to put it into the flop tier. Okay, and next up we've got Islet.
You wanna dance? Say yeah.
So Islet's logo is made up of small squares that spell out the group name. This loosely ties in with their music because they've got a distinctly naughty sound. However, when I see a logo constructed like this, I do often think of pixels or video games. Again, this logo is made up of a bold, blocky typeface, which makes it really easy to distinguish and read. But again, with only one variation, I don't think it'll scale well at smaller sizes. So I think for this one, I'm going to put it into the middle tier. Okay, so next up we've got NewJeans. Rest in peace, Danielle.
What videos? What like Jurassic Park? That's a movie, bro.
NewJeans seem to have a completely different logo for every single album that they drop, but it's different from TXT in the fact that it's never based on the same foundation. The logo's always completely different. So this means that the designers behind the NewJeans logos can get very creative with the different designs, most of which encompass the retro sound that their music has. However, readability does suffer here because the logo changes so often that it's quite hard to recognize. And so for this reason, I am going to put it into the mid tier. Okay, and lastly, we have the 17 logo. So 17's logo is made up of three shapes that make the number 17, which ties into their fandom name Carat. Think 17 Carat Diamond, making this one quite creative already. The simple use of the three bold lines make it really readable. However, it lacks with versatility because even though there are a couple of variations, they still often just use the logo with 17 written underneath it. And so for that reason, I think I'm going to put it into the flop tier here. So we've got the completed tier list here. We've got TXT on the top and LE SSERAFIM on the bottom, and everyone else is just kind of floating around the middle. If you haven't seen the variations on TXT's logo, I implore you to go and look at them because they are very creative. I think the overall takeaway from this is that K-pop companies definitely need to make more versatile logos and also up their creativity a bit. There's definitely a lot more with these logos that the companies can be doing for every album release cycle. If companies push more to do this, then I feel like it would make every album more unique and distinguished, and that would allow fans to be more engaged and excited for an album aside from the music. Thank you for watching today's video, guys. If you like the content, please leave a like, and also hit the subscribe button if you don't want to miss any more content from me. And with that, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!